Legends passed down for thousands of years tell of beings not quite human, not quite ghost, figures that exist in the darkest corners of our perception. They are called shadow people. Today we dive into one of the most chilling and widespread paranormal phenomena in human history. Let's begin. The idea of shadowy beings lurking in the dark isn't new. In fact, its origins can be traced back thousands of years. In Islamic mythology, the jinn, supernatural entities mentioned in the Quran dating as far back as the 7th century, are described as beings made from smokeless fire. Some witnesses claim these beings appeared as pitch-black shadows, eerily human-shaped. Could these be the first documented accounts of shadow people? Traveling further into ancient European folklore, there are chilling tales of creatures that craved blood and could only be reborn through it. Creatures described as tall, dark, and formless. Again, shadow-like. And across the ocean, the Choctaw tribe of Native Americans spoke of Nalusa Chito, also known as the Soul Eater. This entity, deeply feared, was said to resemble a tall black humanoid shadow. The fear was so great some refused to even speak its name. 3 distinct cultures, 3 continents, 1 consistent description. The radio station incident of March 2002. On a quiet evening, as most of the world settled into their routines, a late-night radio show was about to spark something chilling. That show was Coast to Coast AM, a program already known for exploring the strange, the paranormal, and the unexplained. But on this particular night, something different happened, something that would ripple across paranormal communities for years to come. The guest that night was Heidi Hollis, a researcher and writer deeply immersed in the supernatural. She introduced a term that until then had been whispered in fringe circles: shadow people. She didn't just describe them as ghosts or fleeting figures in the dark. No, she portrayed them as malevolent entities, ancient, intelligent, and malicious, beings capable of tormenting, even physically harming those they encountered. According to Hollis, these entities often appear just out of direct view, slipping through the corners of our vision. Others report waking in the dead of night to find one looming silently over them, watching, waiting. But what happened next? No one could have predicted. The phone lines lit up, one call, then another, then dozens, hundreds, thousands. Listeners from across the United States, and even from abroad, called in to say the same thing. The stories varied in location, age, and background. But the details? The details were strikingly similar. Dark, humanoid figures, no features, no faces, just darkness, often appearing during moments of paralysis, sometimes during broad daylight. And then came the drawings. Listeners were invited to sketch what they had seen. When the submissions came in, the hosts and producers were stunned. Despite being from people who had never met, some from opposite ends of the country, the images were nearly identical. Tall, human-like shadows, sometimes with red eyes, occasionally wearing a hat or cloak, always watching, always silent. It was in that moment, during those hours of radio static and whispered confessions, that something changed. The shadow people were no longer fringe folklore, no longer just a bedtime story shared in hushed tones. They had entered the public psyche, permanently. Video proof of the shadow people. Online, countless photos claim to capture these beings, but most are grainy, clearly edited, or suspiciously vague. However, video evidence has proved more compelling. One widely circulated clip shows a man investigating strange noises in his basement. He pans his camera, and a tall, black figure dashes out of frame. While some claim it's a hoax, a person in a black morph suit, others aren't so sure. Another chilling video taken from an Xbox Kinect camera shows a humanoid figure beside the user, one that only the sensor can detect. The user claimed the footage was unedited. As you can see from the video, there is a dark, tall humanoid figure to the right of the man that dashes out of view once it notices the camera. Could this be evidence? People have also claimed to see them in the mirror online also.
Me and my brother saw a black shadow figure in the mirror. We're looking at it and said, what the heck is that?
But perhaps the most famous clip online is one of someone who is looking through an empty window in an abandoned building. Here you can see the shadow peeking over the corner of the wall, but when confronted by the person it disappears each time. Is this a trick of lighting or a genuine encounter with the shadow man? First-hand stories from the internet. From people paralyzed in bed, staring into the void as a tall, faceless shadow looms over them. Could sleep paralysis actually be the hauntings of the shadow people? To others who, while fully awake, claim to see a figure reflected behind them, only to turn and find nothing there. One man tells of waking at 4 a.m. in a parked car and seeing a figure across the street. No eyes, just darkness, staring. Another describes a shadow crawling into bed during a sleep paralysis episode, breathing heavily, right next to their face. The stories differ in setting, but never in the details. What scientists say. Some scientists believe they are hallucinations brought on by sleep paralysis. During REM sleep, your brain may project terrifying images into your semi-conscious mind, a survival mechanism gone wrong. Another explanation? Peripheral vision. It's notoriously unreliable for spotting detail. Your brain fills in the blanks when you glimpse movement, potentially creating phantom shadows that were never there. But these explanations don't account for all sightings, especially those seen while fully awake. Another theory is that they are demons. Given the dread and malevolence attached to these entities, some believe they are demonic. One particularly terrifying figure known as the Hat Man, a 10-foot tall shadow wearing a wide-brimmed hat, has been reported by people worldwide. He is said to speak, strangle, and radiate evil. People often also feel as if they are being attacked when experiencing sleep paralysis. Others claim that the entities vanish when the name of Christ is mentioned. Subscribe for more.